Activating your first eye or your third eye, whatever you want to call it, is the first step into seeing through deception. Now, I say that because your first eye or your third eye is basically your spiritual compass, your internal compass. Now, I say it's a compass instead of a map because you will never be able to, basically, your ego will never be able to conceptualize what you're actually being in. Why do I say that? First off, because you only see 0.036% of the light spectrum. Now, there may be another zero in there, but whatever the case whatever the case may be, it's still less than 1% of the light spectrum, and you can go and look that up. So how can you maneuver this realm? By allowing the duality of occultism, getting into the topic of this video, by allowing the duality of occultism to program you into believing, right? We're believing, we're not knowing, into believing that you are this physical skin suit. Excuse me. I actually just took a spoonful of honey right now for my cough. I'm still healing, but no matter. Within this realm of duality, understanding that duality is how you transcend a human mindset. Now, what is a human mindset? A human mindset is basically the programmed individual who believes what they see on social media, through news outlets, believes in sports, believes in their country, believes in their career as in the end all be all, and nothing more than that. And you know what? If that's what you want, that's cool. I'm not saying you have to transcend beyond that, or you have to hustle out of that, but you should want that to some degree. Do you really want to work this job for the rest of your life until you retire? And then once you retire, that's when you start living? That doesn't make any sense to me, to my ego, and to my spirit. Because I've trained my ego through my spirit to be disciplined through my actions, to move forward on my to move forward on my passions, and to visualize the future that I want. And I've only alchemized that more, talking about magic, I've only alchemized that more when I met my partner, when I was destined to meet my divine feminine. She's not here right now, but I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? 2 is better than 1. But I'm going to be getting into how you can move outside the occultic programming pushed onto society, and to you as well, because we're all just reflections of each other. We all live the same life. It's really just about mindset at the end of the day. So first and foremost, I want to get into language. There's a reason why language is called spellcasting. Spellcasting, or magic if you want to call it that. Alchemy. At the end of the day, language distracts your reality by making you believe artificial thought forms, right? So if you are just born, I'll say resurrected. If you're just resurrected into this realm, you are not going to be able to know how to speak. You do not want to speak. You do not need to speak. I've said this many times before. Speaking is tiring as fuck. I enjoy talking to myself when, or in general, I enjoy talking when we're talking about very in-depth conversations, but small talk, surface level conversations, celebrities and things like that, idol worship, count me out. Count me out of that, because I gain nothing from that spiritually. And it's such, when you find someone to talk to about these topics, or even so when you're just talking to about yourself, it's such a passionate concept, right? Not a concept, it's such a passionate knowing. It's such a passionate knowing and divine frequency, divine connection with your higher self, that you understand what you're being in, because you were never being within what you are only observing. All right. And so that's part of duality too, in understanding that for yourself, spirit and ego. Understanding that what you're going through, I feel like for most cases, is not worried about you. Gas is not worried about you. Your car is not worried about you. Your light bill is not worried about you. Your job is not worried about you, unless you're not going in. I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm saying to most things. But I feel like you can understand and understand the perspective within that. Stress is not worried about you. So why am I worrying about that? All right. And so within understanding that duality, you're now able to follow your first eye or your internal compass into the reality that you are always destined to living in. Because when we get into quantum mechanics, right? When we get into quantum mechanics, you realize that, or not you realize, but it's been scientifically proven that everything around you are just quantum waves, quantum frequencies. So within quantum entanglements, you are entangled to that vision that you have of yourself. You are entangled to that vision of yourself in 10 years and 15 years and 20 years and 30 years of your business, and you have your girl with you, and you may have kids, and you may have this amount of much money in your bank account, or this many properties, or however many videos, or your lifestyle or your diet, whatever the case may be. You are intertwined to that. The only thing stopping you from getting there is putting in the work. And that's where a lot of people fail, because they're programmed into instant gratification. They're programmed into being comfortable within their suffering. And when you get into dark psychology too, within lectures and things like that, they tell you the same manipulation tactics that your government or your programming puts onto you, but you just brush it under the rug and don't give it a second thought, and are not open-minded to that, which that's insane, because I'm learning about that right now within one of my audiobooks. I'm not going to college yet, but I'm going to. I'm gonna be in my shit. But within this audiobook that I'm listening to, I'm listening to these things, and I'm like, that sounds oddly familiar. I wonder why. Using the same tricks that they're teaching you, making you go to college for, and they're doing it right to you. Okay, so one of the things that could help you understand, and I say understand because it's an intuitive feeling. It's not a feeling, it's an intuitive knowing of that connection to your spirit. Meditating in silence, or just sitting in silence, or practicing a healthy diet, or setting an intentional goal for yourself every single day, or making videos, or journaling. I said one thing, but I'm just saying things that help me. Drinking water, honey, what else? Just a clean body, a clean temple creates a clean mind, and creates that intuitive knowing that you are not only cleaning your DNA from trauma that is inherited through your parents and their 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 parents through occultism, but you have the wants to keep on going, because you are seeing results and you're feeling results. Now, seeing results may not come right away, but you cannot lie. Give yourself an entire day without your phone. Give yourself an entire day without social media. or 2 days, or 3 days, or a week, or however long you need. The mental clarity and stability that you have after that is blissful. It's amazing. You are able to be so intentional with yourself. And I don't say productive, but you can say productive, but I enjoy doing more intentful actions instead of productive actions, because intentful is pushing forward to my spirit. Productive could also be a version of procrastination, and that's just an opinion. That's just me doing stuff to, not that there's anything wrong with it, me doing things to, I'll just keep it at that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but to me, to my ego, to my spirit, there's a difference between them. And not only that, but the end result of you doing these things to better to better yourself and to better your mental, not only your mental, but to activate, I won't say activate, but to heighten the connection that you have with your subconscious, within that internal voice, with your intuition. That goes in part with healing your DNA. But I'm gonna say this: when you do these actions and you are calm within them, you are present, you are confident, you are just the overall knowing that you're becoming better every single day. You're healing your nervous system. You're unfreezing your nervous system from the shock that unconscious programs have been shoved onto you to freeze your nervous system. And yeah, things like, just speaking for myself, things that I used to do when I would get a meal or something, I would have to have a video playing. Now, if you do that, so be it. I'm just saying, for myself personally, that's something I realized that for me was stopping myself from being present in those moments, or wanting to eat in silence and then going to study after that, or going to research after that. That's just something that I realized for myself on my journey. And with activating your first eye too, you see through deception because you change your awareness through the healing of your genetic code, through the healing of your pineal gland, within decalcifying it by what you eat, what you consume, so on and so forth, right? And I can speak for myself too, personal experience. When I was becoming more and more aware of football and the trafficking that went within that, within consciousness, within these children being groomed into being within these realms, just through satanic ritual abuse, eating babies, stabbing babies, goats, everything you can think of, wherever your mind goes with that. And just things that I've seen as well within, I forgot what it was called, but it was these, I'm sure you've seen it as well, or you may have not, but it was these two Caucasian children that were speaking about the satanic ritual abuse that they went through. And they're sexually abused too, and they're groomed into becoming that figure that groomed them. That's why they live out this inverted lifestyle. They're not only inverted from the jump, but they're programmed before that because it's within their genetic code in their brain. But like I said, the ritual abuse and how that manipulates the mind as a child. If you're doing those acts as a child, you're drinking blood, you're watching your parents sacrifices, that's going to become normal to you. and you're going to become desensitized to that. But when I was first becoming aware of sports and football and how much it was wasting my time, because intuitively I understood that what I was doing and watching these grown women, at the time I didn't know that, but watching these grown individuals run up and down the field playing football, I mean, yeah, there's the entertainment factor out of that, but outside of that entertainment factor, what is this doing for the betterment of myself and my growth? That's what I was realizing at that time. And my future self was sending me little thought forms through a quantum wavelength, through a quantum frequency, like I was just talking to you earlier about. Through that messaging of my future self to my past self, currently in that moment, I was starting to intuitively raise my frequency within my awareness into seeing what I was watching. And this was when I used to watch the 49ers and they went to the Super Bowl that year, whatever year that was. That was like probably like 2-3 years ago, maybe more. But like I said, outside of the entertainment factor, these beings within the higher boxes, or the high rise, not the high rises, but up high in the buildings with these millionaires watching all of us and watching consciousness being trafficked into staying dumb, stay dumb, right? Wordplay, spelling, magic. It's within it's linguistic sorcery. And when you realize that, you'll be careful with what you say, because what you say creates your reality. What you say right now, currently, is bit by bit creating your future. And literally, that's how you time travel, because you're creating that reality for yourself. What else do I got? Schooling too. With schooling, like what I was saying earlier, so I took a introduction to psychology course. It was from Yale. It was about happiness. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I forgot most of the content that was within that. But they had little goals like being grateful every single day and so on and so forth, right? And just talking about, okay, I made a video on impact bias. Impact bias is basically you expect this, and I'll get into this as well, but you expect you getting this new car, you expect yourself to be so happy about that, or your new van, or this new job, or whatever the case may be. You expect that to uplift your emotions, and you're just going to be happy all the time, and your life's fulfilled now. But yet, what you don't realize is, if you did get that, you were always meant to get that. And on top of that too, material will never, oh my gosh, the material will never fulfill you spiritually. That's why you're left feeling high and dry, feeling like depressed. Because, I mean, it's like a drug user. You're doing crack, right? The first time, it's such a elevating experience. It's such a, what's the word? It's such a magnifying experience into what thoughts you never had or never knew that you could have before. And then once you go down the line and you're 30th time, you're never going to reach that high again, because you've been doing it time and time again. And I'm just saying in comparison to the emotional factor of it. I'm not saying anything with doing drugs or things like that. All right. I mean, I feel like you can understand the comparison between that. Yeah, sorry. Let me get back into that topic. With schooling though, everything that we're talking about, yes, I did get some things here and there, some little pieces, like the but majority of the time, I'm watching this, and I'm like, is this not common sense to y'all? And I'm pretty sure I told my girl that when I was going through that class. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much just common sense. To my mindset, to my observation, is common sense, to my awareness. But to some of these people, it's not. And why is it not? because you're stuck in identity. You're stuck in identity to the point to where you believe your emotions are yours. You believe your thoughts are yours. When yes, some of them are yours, speaking of thoughts, but when you study quantum mechanics, you can get thoughts from your future self, from your past self, from your neighbor, from lower astral entities in general, parasitic organisms. You get thoughts from so many different astral avenues, and I say that, but there is no avenues, but I'm just saying, from the astral, you get so many different thoughts that unless you know yourself spiritually, you will not be able to decipher what thoughts are yours and not yours. And that's sad, but that's just how it is. I'm trying to see what I wrote. It's so light. Eating dead flesh, man. I feel like for my case, and I mean to you it may be different. I'm just saying for myself. When I ate dead flesh, spiritually I was dead. Spiritually my awareness was not there to the point that it is now. And through physiology, when you study physiology, the human vessel, but our vessels are naturally herbivores, naturally supposed to be plant-based. We're not supposed to be eating dead flesh because it does not benefit us in any way, shape, or form. When you look at in the animal kingdom, which we're animals too, but when you look in the animal kingdom, carnivores, their intestinal tract is, I believe, much shorter compared to an herbivore, and it's much shorter because they don't want that dead meat sitting in their intestines. Now you wonder why beings are eating meat and getting heart disease, getting high blood pressure, because you have dead flesh within your vessel, within your gut. It's killing you. It's giving you cancer. When you eat meat, you're getting cancer, and it's killing you slowly. But if you enjoy it, all the more to you. I'm not saying don't eat it, but I'm just saying look into it, do your research, and ask yourself why you feel certain ways after you eat that, bro. So I took a little break from meat, right? This is about 3 years ago. I took a little break. When I came back to it after a week, because I folded. I'm not gonna lie, I was starving, but those were just my parasites within your stomach. You have parasites within your vessel. You do. Within your brain, and within this brain too. Down here, I put into my stomach and my, what you call it? I just said it. Anyways, if it comes back to me, I'll say it. But there's a car backing up, but whatever. That made me lose my points. Within your guts, basically. Pause. Within your guts. You have parasites. And your parasites are the reasons why you crave sugar. You crave meats. Because if you were to take a step back from me for like 30 days, not only would you see how much weight you would lose, how much fat you would lose, you would start looking amazing. I mean, look at me, for example. And I'm not saying this to be egotistical about it or to flex how I look, because looks don't matter at the end of the day. It's about mindset. But you cannot deny following your spiritual path, following your higher self, not even following, but embodying that, being that, will lead you to the realities that you never thought you could do never thought you could embody until you did. You started knowing instead of believing. Money. You will see money as a human concept, because is it not a human concept? We're looking at a bunch of numbers and we're flexing over numbers. What the fuck? What happened to abundance? What happened to spiritual abundance? I mean, you could have all the money in the world. All money is blood money, by the way. All money is blood money. to get money, you have to sacrifice something. And there's multiple means within that. I mean, if you're just an average person, average working person, you gotta sacrifice your time. But when you get into different realms, such as celebrities, you gotta sacrifice family members, you gotta sacrifice your morals, you gotta sacrifice your friends, you gotta sacrifice strangers, which they might even, they might not even be strangers to you. It could be your cousins, or like I said, family already. But you have to sacrifice your consciousness into being trafficked, because the messages that you are providing have a dualistic approach to them. And I'm going to get into that within magic. Within lyrics, there are whole different meanings within it, from the being rapping or singing the song compared to the listener. They could say, oh, I made so many, I can't think of any lyrics off the top of my head besides some Jay-Z lyrics talking about selling the soul to the Illuminati want my soul. I forgot what song that is. But why is that being just saying that? And you can't sell your soul, because what is a soul when it's just a word? But it's really just your awareness and your consciousness. They could be saying, bro, okay, Under the Sun, J. Cole and Dreamville. What did they say? I made sacrifices, bloody sacrifices, bloody sacrifices. See, you don't know what they mean by that. You have never walked up to them and asked them, yo, hey, what do you mean by this lyric? And whether or not they're going to tell you the truth, they already lied to you. So you don't know if they're going to tell the truth on that. But when you understand how far and how deep the mind gets within this realm, and how much we are not shown to our egos, but you can transfer your consciousness into those, or shift. You can shift your consciousness into those realms by just understanding symbolism, understanding human nature and human body language. And yeah, just studying eyes, and with the internet now, it's a little bit of research, you'll get very far. Sports, Olympics, I already got into that, but what are you doing with your time if you're watching sports? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I realized that when I was, how old was I? Age doesn't matter, right? Because we don't age. But I was 18, 19 when I realized, like, what the fuck am I doing with my time when I'm watching sports? It was hard for me to let go, because I had that idolization of those beings, because they look cool. The pads and the shoulder pads and the helmet and all that. But it was the idolization, because why am I watching grown men in tights? I'm just lying. I'm not. I'm just lying. I'm just lying to my. I'm just speaking my truth, but I'm lying to you when I speak my truth, because I'm speaking. That's what I was trying to say. But it's just crazy, because that's sex magic. That's another form of magic. It's crazy. And then you got the yellow flags too, representing piss. That I don't understand fully, but when you get into it with the tights and tackling and things like that, it correlates through an intuitive knowing. And I said music / idol worship. Yeah, I said that. But we almost had 30 minutes. I didn't even realize. But understanding these messages, understanding these. Let's see what time it is. Oh, I can't see. Shit. I'm about to end this video. Understanding that duality, and not only through the things that I said, but Society of Secrets as well. And understanding that the research that you do, understanding the information that you get off of Google, off of YouTube, Twitter, it's all a perspective, because who are the beings giving you that research? You have to understand that. You have to understand. Now, they will tell you in some way, shape, or form. They will tell you what they're doing, but it's only a perspective. It's never going to be the full truth. That's the thing with occultism. They give you half lies and half truths. So really, they're just lying. But how can they lie if that's their programming? But yet they're lying. My fault. And then going beyond that too, like, it's really just our lower self. It's really just our ego that is bounding ourselves to this simulation, bounding ourselves to worshiping Society of Secrets, worshiping Freemasons, worshiping idols, worshiping money, blood money. I'm sacrificing. Yeah, come on. That's all, though. I hope you learned something new and alchemize that into your own perspective. Thank you for watching. And I'm gone. You know what? Today I was not going to make a video because I was feeling low. I'm not gonna lie to you. I drank some alcohol yesterday, and I have a very sensitive stomach. I do, and that's one of the avenues that led me. Or I'll restart that. I have to thank my future self and what I was always destined to be transferred into or resurrected into. Speaking of my ego, my vessel, that is not mine, but I do inhabit it at this moment. I have to be thankful for that because that's one of the avenues that led me, not astray, but led me away from eating junk foods, fatty foods, oily foods. I'm about to burp. Excuse me. And that's why I'm here today. But I realize that there is no today. There's only the present moment. Alright, though. That's all I got. I love y'all. And have a divine experience. I'm gone. Peace.